Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk about something that I think is really important that I'm getting a lot of comments on my video and I'm seeing people think this way, and it's kind of a bit concerning to me because this is one mistake that I made when I was first starting out in Pokemon investing, and I don't really want you guys, especially if you're new to the hobby or maybe you're just super, giddy right now and overzealous because of the market. I don't want you to fall into this trap. So let me kind of explain this by looking at some of the booster boxes and how they've been doing over the past couple months, right? Chilling Reign, this says it's up 22.5%. We all know this is now a $300 box, so it's much higher than this. It's probably up 40% or so. Lost Origin, over 40%, and this is a $300 box. And most recent sales actually 325, so keep an eye on this. Fusion Strike is up almost 100%, okay? So keep track of these numbers, right? 100%. And it's actually probably higher than this just because this is now like a $470 box, legit. Like past few sales, 472, 480, 478, 478 again, 463. Like this is, very close to a $500 box. Paldea Evolved says it's only up 19.34%. This is now a $180 box, guys. Not 170. This is 180 all day. Maybe even moving into 185, couple sales there. So this is up probably over 30% or close to it, maybe 26, 27%. And this is one of the weaker ones, right? But Surging Sparks up over 100% in the past 3 months. And Surging Sparks is actually making another climb again, guys. So be on the lookout for Surging Sparks. This is now basically a $250 box. All these sales today, you had a lot in that 230 range earlier today, but 248 all day now, guys. So this is getting really close to 250. And I'm sure if that reprint doesn't come or we don't get an announcement for it, this is going to just keep climbing. Okay, but, just looking at these, right, because I think this is a large enough sample to kind of make my point. Surging is up over 100%, right? Fusion's up over 100%. Paldea's up probably about 30% once you factor in like current cost. Same thing with Chilling Reign's probably up about 40, and Lost Origin's up about 40 as well in the past 3 months. Now let's look at some other sets, right? Base set, still doing good, up 24% over the past 3 months. Paradox Rift up 22.43%. Obsidian Flames up 15.5%. Astral Radiance, and Astral's a Sword and Shield set too, right? Still only up about 18% or so, maybe a bit higher because it's about a $200 box, so maybe like 22% or something, right? But the point being, when you compare something like Astral Radiance to, say, Surging Sparks, or you compare Obsidian Flames to Paldea Evolved, or you compare Paradox Rift to Fusion Strike and base set to something like Lost Origin, yeah, and I get that these aren't, base set to base set or whatever. It's not very comparable, but the point being, when you look at a booster box and you look at another booster box, the thing that's going to tell you how well they will do is how strong of a set they are. Like, no one is arguing that Lost Origin is comparable or a worse set than base set, or it's worse than Paradox Rift, or Obsidian Flames, or any of these sets, Astral Radiance. Lost Origin is better than all of those, and it's performing better than all of those. Same thing with Chilling Reign. You're not going to sit here and tell me that you think base set, Paradox Rift, Obsidian Flames, or Astral Radiance is even comparable to something like Chilling Reign. This set is just above it. Same thing with Fusion Strike, same thing with Paldea Evolved, and obviously same thing with Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks is by far the best set, mainline set in Scarlet Violet era so far, right? So the better sets, and the point I'm trying to make, the better sets will always outperform. Now, how does that relate to today's conversation? I've seen a lot of people in my comments, and I've been talking about this too, right? Like, the market is going insane. It's very hard to find good deals. I actually, a couple months ago, I was picking up Paradox Rift, and based on every set in Scarlet Violet, this is probably the set I own the most of, and Paldea Evolved's like 1 box behind it, or 2 boxes or something like that. But point being, okay, these sets in the future, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift base set, none of these are going to perform as well as Paldea Evolved. So when I see people commenting stuff like, Shrouded Fable is really cheap right now, Grayson, like maybe I should just hop on Shrouded Fable. I can still get a case of ETBs for, $30, $33, $35, whatever it is. And if you look at Shrouded Fable, I mean, it's only up 14.5% over the past 3 months. And maybe if you got at the low, like $28, $30, okay, maybe you're up 33%, something like that. 25 to 33% in that range. you're still not beating out stuff like Surging Sparks. You're still not beating out Fusion Strike, Lost Origin, Chilling Reign. All of these sets are crushing it compared to Shrouded Fable. Now, the argument is there's very low risk buying Shrouded Fable, and I understand that, and I kind of agree with that in a sense because I did the same thing with Paradox Rift. When I saw, very cheap boxes, I loaded up because it made sense to me. Like, it's not going to go any lower. I personally do think that, I rate Paradox Rift higher than the market rates it, but the issue I've had with that in the past, and why I'm not going to be buying more of any of these sets, is because, you know, I went really big into Brilliant Stars. I bought a lot of Brilliant Stars, and my reasoning at the time, that's Shrouded Fable, we'll look at in a second. The reason at the time is I thought there was a ton of depth in Brilliant Stars. When you look at cards over $10, right, there's 12, 14 cards over $10. Compare that to something like Fusion Strike, there's only, nine cards over $10. And then Lost Origins even less, I believe there's 8 cards over $10. So my thought process at the time was, yeah, like maybe Fusion has a bit better of a top hit, Lost Origin 2, but there's just so much depth. People are going to want to open Brilliant Stars, and you'll get these Mimikyus and Sylveon and Umbreon cards, and yeah, depth. And the same argument can be made with Shrouded Fable right now, right? There's a ton of depth in the set. There is 12 cards right now over $20. That's actually kind of insane once you think about it. Now, the set is newer, so I think some of these will drop. A lot of these cards are playable. But if you look at cards over $10 as well, there's, I believe, 19 cards over $10. So tons of depth, even compared to something like Brilliant Stars. There's way more depth in Shrouded Fable. But I can tell you right now, with 99.9% confidence, buying Shrouded Fable is not going to be as good of an investment as buying Paradox Rift, buying, Astral Radiance, buying Paldea Evolved. Like, all of these are going to crush Shrouded Fable. I don't give a shit if you're buying this at $30, $28, $27, $25. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be beat in the long term, and even probably in like the short to mid term, by a lot of these sets like Paldea and Paradox and Astral Radiance, etc. So, point being, okay, it's great to find deals. You lower your risk. You're obviously not buying $1,000 booster box or something like that. These aren't going to go tank into the ground more than likely, but you're also not going to see that great of gains comparative to the rest of the market and the top sets, which, if you're in the hobby a decent amount of time, it's very easy to understand what's going to be the top hits. And that's something I've learned, or what's going to be the top performing sets rather. And I've learned that over the past year, right? Like, I went very heavy into Brilliant Stars, and I did get a ton of Lost Origin and Fusion Strike. I believe I have 27 boxes. I sold one, so I guess I'm down to 26 boxes of Fusion Strike, 31 of Lost Origin, but I have like 50 boxes of Brilliant Stars or so. So if I maybe got less of this and more Fusion Strike, I probably would have made another $10,000, $15,000 on my investments over the past year, but I didn't, right? So I've learned now, top hit is much more important than depth, okay? Luminion V, Mimikyu V Max V, these random trainer gallery cards are not as relevant as something like the Gengar V Max, the Espeon V Max, the Mew V Max. In Lost Origin, the Aerodactyl and the Giratina. Like, these two cards alone are much more relevant than basically the whole first and second line of Brilliant Stars, other than like the Charizards. So, point being, in Shrouded Fable, there's no top hits. The top card right now is Earthen Vessel Gold card, okay? Outside of that, you have Pheasantipede EX, which is incredibly playable. Cassiopeia SIR is only $47, right? Sure, you have some dope cards that I like in here. The Persian, the Duskull, the Houndoom, kind of like the whole Duskull line, Dusk Noir, and Dusclops. Like, those are great cards. But outside of that, guys, and I do like the Horsey as well, but a lot of these cards just aren't, they're not big bangers. They're not top chase cards in any sort of, situation. So you're only going to get so far with Shrouded Fable, and it's really not going to be that great in comparison to something like a Surging Sparks, like a Fusion Strike, a Lost Origin, a Chilling Reign. So my point being, don't go too heavy into these, other sets that probably aren't going to do as well. Now, when things come out, and I've learned this, I learned my lesson with Twilight Masquerade, and, I guess I shouldn't say I fully learned my lesson because I haven't pre-ordered any Journey Together, but, I kind of just refuse to pre-order if I haven't even seen the cards yet. I've learned now it's good to get some exposure to every single set because you do not know what is going to pop off in the future. But after a couple of years, right, like we're now out of Sword and Shield, it's obvious which sets are going to perform the best. You're going to have your Evolving Skies up top. You're going to have Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, and Chilling Reign below that. And then you're going to have stuff like Brilliant Stars, and then after it'll be Silver Tempest and Astral. But, you know, at this point, you could probably already make a pretty strong argument that something like Astral Radiance will not perform as well as Surging Sparks. So at this point, you got to think like Surging Sparks, if you can get it, you know, if they do reprint, right? If you can get Surging Sparks below what you can get it for Astral Radiance at, probably worth just getting Surging Sparks at this point. So, you know, as time goes on, you can really just make a list and start your ranking and start cutting out the investments of the sets that obviously will not perform as well as the top sets. That's all I'm trying to say in this video. Don't spend too much of your money on these because you're going to regret it down the line, especially if you're new to the hobby and you haven't learned this lesson yet and you don't fully understand the concept of top hits really carrying sets. Once you do that, you will be much more successful in this hobby, I guarantee it. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching the videos. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.